Hey guys, my name is Alfie Evans, and today I'm going to react to sentencing Dreamworks villains for their crimes. And I did the first part 2 days ago, and I think the harshest punishment I've got to have to give is to Lord Farquaad, who got sentenced to death via a guillotine. So, if you guys have not seen that video yet, go watch that one before you watch this one, and see which villains have gotten the right sentences. If you don't think they've gotten the right sentences, please comment down in the description of that video. And let's see what villains get the worst sentences in this video. So without further ado, let's get into it with the sentencing.
Villains almost always steal the show. Whether they be the main antagonist, a one-time threat, or an overarching villain we never see, villains are some of the most interesting characters. But being a villain leads you towards criminal actions, and when it comes down to it, they need to be punished for their crimes. Hey guys, I'm Brad with Wickedbinge, and this is Sentencing Dreamworks Villains for Their Crimes, Part 2. As always, we'll be sentencing these characters as if they survived their respective stories, so that they could stand trial. Finally, we'll only be talking about the criminal actions taking place in the film. In this video, we'll be tackling the following movies: Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron, Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas, Shrek 2, and Shark Tale. Alright, the first movie is Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. Starting
The
off
only
the
movie I
section
haven't seen is
is
Sinbad.
The Wranglers. The Wranglers are the secondary antagonist, being under the Colonel's employ. They're made up of 5 members: Roy, Bill, Jake, Pete, and Joe, being a group of cowboys that were hired by the Colonel. Now, not much is really known about what they do or who they are, but we can sort of figure out what criminal actions they've partaken in. First, we can assume they've poached either with or without the Colonel. They would also be on the line for animal cruelty, as they harm a lot of animals. One may also say they're hunting without a license and possibly trespassing, but it's hard to tell. Regardless, we believe 5 years in prison with a chance of parole is the most fitting punishment.
I think they
The
should
next
be given a
criminal is
much
Colonel
more
George
harsher
Armstrong
sentences.
Custer, often referred to as
I
just
think
the
they
Colonel.
I
Custer
think
is
they
the
should
main
have gotten harsher
antagonist of
sentences.
Spirit. He commits a multitude of criminal actions. He is one of the many people trying to help conquer the American frontier. This leads to many uniquely evil crimes, not only the poaching and animal cruelty that he shares with the Wranglers. However, he'd also be on the line for some heavy stuff that, while legal then, is highly illegal now. This includes enslavement of the Native American people and even the attempted genocide of the same group. He also committed acts of terrorism and usurpation. Custer cared little for the natives, and while the movie tries to paint the man as reformed by the end, it's hard to believe, considering how heavy some of his actions are. We think an execution via hanging would be the best punishment. Alright, the next movie is Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas. The first criminal is Cetus, one of Eris's pets. Cetus is a giant kraken-like creature that is raised by Eris to stop Sinbad during his quest. Cetus is interesting because
I don't even
Cetus
know
is not
what
as
this movie's
conscious as
about.
the other criminals we'll be discussing. Cetus is mostly an obstacle and has the intelligence of an animal. So while we will be discussing his crimes, it's important to note that Cetus would be on the line for murder, as well as attempted murder, as he managed to kill one sailor and attempted to kill the others. He stalked the ship, helped in kidnapping, and attempted and succeeded in something that would be considered torture. He is an animal and wouldn't be punished the same way as others, so the most likely and best option is euthanasia, likely via heavy drugs. The final criminal for this movie is Eris. Eris is a goddess of chaos, who has a plan to cause chaos in the universe. This plan would first be considered conspiracy, but that's only the beginning. Thanks to her shape-shifting abilities, she would be on the line for identity theft, as she pretended to be someone else she wasn't to further her plans. She commits acts of grand theft, incrimination, and even the routinely heinous act of murder, not to mention the attempted murder of Sinbad, as well as a prince, which is its own can of worms. Her body count is surprising, and with each kill is another count. Sure, most of her crimes are low level, but considering the fact that she wants to cause worldwide chaos, she would be on the line as well for disturbing the peace. It's not the biggest crime, but it fits her general vibe. After some discussion, we believe the best course for her punishment is to be depowered, made mortal, and then publicly executed via beheading. I mean, it's fair. She is so evil. Next is the iconic Shrek 2. And
My favourite
first
one
is
out
King
of the Shrek
Harold from far,
franchise.
far away. So let's get this out of the way. Harold is more of an antagonist than a true blue villain. However, he works with Fairy Godmother and Prince Charming and would be considered aiding and abetting in their criminal actions. In fact, he may be on the line for child abuse as he locks up his daughter Fiona in a tower and hopes to have Prince Charming save her. In fact, he'd be in trouble for hiring a hitman, specifically Puss in Boots.
Oh,
One can even argue for the attempted murder of Shrek, although this was sort of a last-ditch effort and not really his plan from what we saw. He even tries to drug his own daughter with the love potion that Fairy Godmother tried to give to Fiona. Harold does sacrifice his humanity to stop the Fairy Godmother from harming Fiona, which we have to take into account. Due to his sacrifice, we're going to give him 4 years in prison with a chance of parole. The next
understandable
criminal is
punishment.
Puss in Boots.
Oh
Puss in
no.
Boots is allegedly a famous ogre assassin, which means he has to have a pretty hefty body count under his belt. Not to mention that being a hired killer is just as illegal, meaning that not only would he be on the line for murder, but for contract killing as well. It's unknown what else he could have done during this time as an ogre hunter, but from what we see, his crimes are major, despite having only a few of them to talk about during the film. Because we include murder and contract killing, we have to give him a pretty hefty 25 years in prison.
What?
Fortunately, cats have 9 lives. Now we have Prince Charming.
I think. I mean, I know what Puss in Boots did at the beginning of the movie, but come on, 25 years is a bit harsh. I think he should be given like at least 18. I think he should be given a little less than 25 years. I think less than 25 years in prison. I think although there's a possibility he could be released a bit earlier than 25 years, but who knows?
Charming is the main antagonist of Shrek the Third, but in Shrek 2, he's just a little secondary villain. Charming utilizes his status as a prince and the son of the fairy godmother to get whatever he wants, so he spends a lot of time abusing his power. After finding out that Fiona is married, he whines to his mother, and they try to abuse their power over
Doesn't
Harold
actually want
so
to his
that they
mother.
can usurp his throne.
He
He's
doesn't.
not only
He
aiding
doesn't
and
like a
abetting his
baby.
mother's plans, but he's also committed acts of breaking and entering when he came into the castle unannounced, identity theft when he pretended to be Shrek, and even sexual assault when he tries to kiss Fiona without her permission. He also commits love theft and unlawful imprisonment, not to mention attempted treason. Charming has a long list of crimes, and as such, needs a proper punishment. He deserves 30 years in prison with no chance of parole. His crimes aren't violent, but still major. The final criminal for Shrek 2 is the Fairy Godmother. Fairy Godmother is a high-ranking magic user who's been around for a long time, making deals and helping those she deems to be in need. However, she abuses her power. She's shown to slander those when she can, attempts to murder people like Shrek when they get in her way, and even uses blackmail. She commits acts of animal abuse even on sentient animals like Donkey, tortures people when they get in her way, and even commits acts of treason, slavery, and even psychological abuse of her son and others. She plans a conspiracy so that she and Prince Charming can have control over the royal family. Part of this conspiracy includes both identity theft and attempted sexual assault of Fiona, although she forces Charming to do it. Godmother is a criminal, and we believe the best punishment for her would be a public execution via beheading. The final movie of the day
Understandable
is
punishment.
Shark Tale, and the first criminal from Shark Tale is Lola. Lola is a fish that Oscar meets after getting famous, secretly being part of Don Lino's mafia. Of course, she'd be on the line for organized crime, aiding and abetting Don Lino. She commits acts of abuse and blackmail, not to mention attempted extortion, as she tries to seduce Oscar out of his money. She helps in the kidnapping plot and is also responsible for conspiracy when she works alongside Lino. Lola is a very important member of the criminal empire. However, she doesn't do too much in terms of violent crimes. At worst, her punishment would be 15 years in prison with no chance of parole. Next is Frankie. Frankie is the son of Don Lino and a member of his organized crime family. Of course, he'd be on the line for organized crime, but not to mention his attempted murder or assault. He's also on the line for aiding and abetting the aforementioned crime family and may or may not be abusive. Frankie isn't on for long and doesn't do much, but it's important to note his criminal actions. His punishment, 25 years in prison with no chance of parole. And our final criminal is Don Lino. Lino is a criminal kingpin and the head of an organized crime family, and being the Don, he'd be in trouble for organized crime. He commits acts including blackmail and conspiracy, mostly in line with the aforementioned organized crime. He's also on the line for kidnapping, and he would even be considered for unlawful imprisonment as well. He keeps pet piranhas that seem to be just as sentient as everything else, and as such would be protected under the law. He kidnaps and then murders shrimp and prawn by eating them, and we know for a fact that they're alive, meaning that he wouldn't get off the hook for that. that.
Oh
Don's
no.
criminal history is interesting for a kids' movie, as he commits acts of what would essentially be cannibalism. Cannibalism isn't in itself illegal, but they are living organisms and not already dead, and therefore open. Lino deserves nothing less than a public execution via electric chair and or lethal injection. Alright guys, that's it. Let us know in the comments section if you
Oh,
agree
that
with
was
our
it.
ranking, and tell
Oh well. Oh well. I think the worst punishment might have to go between either Don and Nino, who has to be either executed by lethal injection or electric chair. I think that's got to be the worst one, because he did kill Shrimp, and Shrimp were alive. But anyway, that was Sentencing Dreamworks Villains for Their Crimes by Wickedbinge. So make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And also go subscribe to Wickedbinge if you haven't already. And as always, until next time, peace out.